Hi everybody, and welcome to Paragade After Hours, a podcast where we usually talk about other shit, but instead, today, it's just all anime, all the time, always. As you can see, I am joined by Mr.
The one, the only.
The one. The
Yeah,
amorphous slob.
That's how I feel most days.
It is Bran.
It is Bran.
We are joined by Bran.
I am here.
Oh my, we are here to talk about anime and rewatching anime. And before we kind of dive into what anime we're rewatching here, what you drinking today, Bran?
Water. I'm drinking water. The allergies in Tennessee are I thought I'd be prepared for them coming from Florida, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Even my cat is losing like patches of fur, and I asked my mom, and she's like, "Yeah, that happens to cats because of the pollen." And I don't understand how pollen can have this much power over someone. So I'm just drinking water, trying to breathe and clear my throat constantly. So hopefully I sound okay on this podcast because it's been a nightmare.
I can imagine. This has been like kind of the worst pollen season.
Yeah, it's been
ever.
bad. Like my car is green. It's actually gray, but it's green. Like, I hate it.
It's not great. I've just been like miserable this entire time. I wake up and it's like my eyes are just watery and itchy, and I'm just like, why is everything like this? My home is supposed to be safe.
It was safe indoors, and the pollen's like, oh no, I'll find a way.
Oh no, I will creep in some way somehow. Oh god. Well, I was gonna get Tennessee whiskey, then I forgot.
That's fair. When you have, expensive Japanese whiskey laying around, I could see how Tennessee would probably fall to the background of your mind.
Well, okay, because I actually am drinking a Florida whiskey.
Oh no! There's no excuse.
No, it is good. It is Bear Gully Reserve. It's a bourbon. It kicks you in your teeth if you're not careful, and it's the kind of whiskey that I feel like is warranted for what we're about to be talking about today. Speaking of death, we're going to be talking about Death Note. Oh yes. My god! So, Bran, how did you get exposed to Death Note at first?
So I don't know. I guess we have to start from the beginning. Anytime anybody ever asks me, how'd you get into this anime? And I'm like, illegally at the time, because my parents had a very strict no anime policy. And so I watched it in secret on our Netflix with my own little profile. And I would just go through and randomly, kind of go back and delete the profile and then re-upload the profile. Anyway, it was extensive, but I loved it so much. It's a great anime. I literally rewatch it probably like every year, if not every 2 years, just because I love it so much. I think it's timeless and terrible and wonderful all at once, and I love it. It's one of my all-time favorites. And update on my parents being super no anime. I'm actually watching this, as I'm rewatching this for this podcast, I got my mom to finally watch it with me. She's actually asking questions. She's like, okay, so this guy, if he does this, then they'll die this way. I'm like, exactly. And that's because, and then we'll just talk about it. And she's like, okay, well, it's pretty cool. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh my god, that's funny though. It's just like, no anime, and that's like, this is actually pretty
My mom is like such a justice kind of person, so I was like, guess what would be the only anime I can think of that you'd probably enjoy? This one. So.
Okay, where does she fall in the light versus L?
Oh, she hates light.
Spectrum?
Immediately. Yeah, no, yeah. And, she's looking, and I'm laughing, right? Because I love Light for what he is. I don't think he's a good person, and I don't side with him at all. But you just feel that way throughout the show, where you're just like, I don't want him to win, but I'm on the edge of my seat for him. I want him to get caught.
Yeah.
But God, and so she immediately was just like, are you kidding me? this kid? Are you kidding? And she's like, he's just killing these people because they're on the news? I'm like, well, Mom, they're criminals. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but she's like, oh, that's not up for him to decide. I'm like, well, guess what? Here comes Elle, and he agrees with you, and that's the whole show. So
Exactly.
She likes it, though. Yeah.
That's good. Oh, my God. So the way I was first exposed to this was way back when Baby Joe. Baby Joe seeing like their first Shonen Jump at like a gas station, and back then they used to do like preview chapters of their Shonen Jump dance series,
nice.
Where it would be like 1 or 2 chapters of like specific manga that they bring over, and one of them was Death Note, and edgelord 13-year-old Joe is just like, I'm not here for this baby anime like Dragon Ball or Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm gonna go ahead and
if only you knew
and
the iconic classic that it would become.
Oh my God.
Man.
So I was that pretentious shithead who was just like, I'm reading a mature manga. See, it says mature right on the
as labeled.
Spine. As labeled. And I got about 4 volumes. I fell off, and then the anime came on Adult Swim. I watched that. I fell off, and then like a couple months later, I'm like, oh, what the fuck's happening with Death Note?
Everyone's losing it suddenly around episode 10.
Yeah. So then after that, I just looked up the ending, and I was just like, wait, oh shit, Elle dies. Spoilers. Here are the 3 plot points I remember. Light dies, Elle dies, the 2 weird children. That's it. All
that's
I
the show. Like,
that
Killer Notebook.
That's it.
They all die. 2 strange boys.
Yeah. So rewatching it for like the first time in like over 10 years, and just like re-experiencing a lot of the moment-to-moment shit, I'm just like, I don't remember this. Was it this way? Oh my God, what the fuck's gonna happen? I know these 3 guys die, but
everyone
dies.
Just about. Well, no, I will be fair though. I think most of the task force survives. I want to say most of them do, but I won't spoil anything. I'm not. No, I want, but like, never mind. Okay. Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like the dad has like 15 death flags already. It's just like,
I'm a good, upstanding man, and my son would never. And I'm like, your son already is. Storichio. Hang in there.
God. Yeah. Poor man. So the way we're going to be doing this sort of recap is we're going to go episode by episode. Then after doing the initial like summary, we'll compare our notes as far as like, how the fuck did we feel about this episode rewatching it? So let's go ahead and start off with episode 1, Rebirth. So basically it opens up with Light just being like, the pompous shit that he is, and is just like, I hate the world and everything's so boring, and Ryuk is like, same, #same, and he just drops his death note into the human world. They're like, oh, don't you got 2 death notes, Ryuk? And he's like, yeah, my mom gave me it. And so then he drops his death note, and Light, with the eagle eyes that he has, sees this falling like across his school campus, and he's just like, ooh, that's weird. Where the fuck that notebook come from? I don't know, but I'm gonna go check it out. And he checks it out. It's like a death note, and then he looks inside. And it's like, basically a chain letter, or like, reblog this status to get this. And he's like, I'm not into that stupid shit.
Just kidding.
And he's just like, never. JK, I'm gonna retweet just in case. So he takes the book.
Literally, that's exactly how he does. Oh my God.
It's so good.
It's beautiful.
It's so good. And then after that, he goes ahead, tests it out. He's like, I'm gonna go ahead and write the name of this criminal. And then, shocker, criminal dies.
Like, oh, no way. And then he's like, better try it again, just to be safe. Better try it again, just to be. And then, 27 episodes later, serial killer.
Honestly, not even. It's like by episode 2, he's already a fucking serial killer.
And by 2 weeks later, he's drawing national attention.
He's already killed literally hundreds of people. Like, okay. So then at the end of the episode, Ryuk shows up and he's like, "Hey, buddy, you got my notebook." And Light's like weirdly calm about like this, hot topic
He
fucking
really
anime
is.
showing up in his bedroom,
Oh
and he's just like, "I was
yeah, yeah.
expecting
He like
you."
okay, well like he falls out of his freaking chair, like he like falls and he's like, "Ugh!" And then he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I've been expecting someone like you. I'm chosen, aren't I?" And Ryuk's like, "No, I was just bored." And he gets so mad. I don't know. Is that in?
He gets so
Yeah, no. I
mad.
think that's I'm getting ahead of myself. I think that's like episode 3 or something. But yeah, or episode 2 when they first.
No, that is.
Oh,
Definitely
is it? Yeah,
episode
no,
one.
it totally is.
Episode one.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, a lot happens. They cover
Yeah.
so much.
They do. Destiny's Destiny.
Literally,
That's how I know.
Ryuk's like, no, I just dropped it, and you just happened to pick it up. And Light's like, well, a different god must have chosen me. In fact, screw different gods. I'll just be the god that chose me. Ryuk's like, okay, buddy,
Oh my
have fun with
God.
that.
You have fun. So, I have a kind of a lot of questions right now, and that is, are they in Catholic school? Because they're reading like the Bible and shit.
Yeah,
like,
I
during
want to
class.
say that they just did that to be dramatic, and also the Bible is probably the most popular piece of like Western literature available, and if they're learning English, like, why the hell not? But it did seem kind of like suspicious to me, because I mean, I don't know, is the Bible, is that like a common thing in, I don't know how popular Christianity is, or like if their laws are like, hey, don't bring a religious book into school and use that to teach people English. I'm not sure, but I mean, looking at Light in general, his whole vibe screams like Catholic school prep boy. He's got the
really
biggest
does.
god
It really
complex to begin with, so I'm like, I'm sure that came from somewhere besides being a total sociopath.
Oh my God! And just like, because I know, like, most anime just like references Christianity in some form or another. I'm looking at you, Evangelion.
Always.
And sometimes it's just it's just because they're like, oh, like, the Bible's so fucking weird. Why don't we reference it?
It truly is.
It really is. So I guess, but the other thing I was also noticing, like rewatching the first episode, they really go ham on those writing scenes.
Oh!
Like where he's just writing in the notebook.
God, they really do. That's actually crap. I almost dropped my headset. It's actually like one of the funniest things about Death Note. I remember like the first time I really went back and rewatched it, and I hadn't seen it in like you and not like a decade, but it's been about like 3 years before I went back and rewatched it, and I just remember like being so into the show the first time that like I was like, yeah, write those names, like, yeah, and then like I go back and watch it now and I'm like, the paper would have torn really badly and your notebook would have gone flying, like, calm down, like,
Yeah.
it's so
Calm
funny.
down. He just keeps writing.
It's like,
and writing and
like a
writing.
zoom in from like a million different angles and it's like shaking slightly, just like some kid with an iPhone, like like zooming in.
Oh my God, just like, what was it, the fucking tweet, or like, fucking meme of just like, the girls with like the really long fingernails just like typing on their fucking phone, you hear like,
Literally. Yeah, and like as the show progresses, I mean, like they have to make writing, that's how they kill people, so like they have to make it dramatic in some way or another, but when you like remove yourself from that premise and you just are like watching them, you're like, man, if I didn't know what this is about, I'd be really confused right now and not really into this, because like it just looks like he's intensely studying.
Honestly. And so the other thing that I was thinking a lot about was, it's really hard. Like, I don't know if this is intentional, but he's really harping on, like, I want to, like, kill everybody that isn't honest, kind, and hardworking. And it's just like, this is eugenics. This is actually eugenics. You're describing, like,
oh yeah, like him
genocide.
deciding who. I mean, it's such a black and white way of looking at like right and wrong, and it's just completely wrong. Like you can't just like, I mean, not only okay, yeah, you can say that someone has been convicted of murder, but like, what if it's wrong? Like, what if they had, is the whole death penalty argument, like, what if the
Yeah.
evidence is wrong? What if they're not a killer? What if they're actually innocent and he's just offing people who steal from shopping malls? Like,
Yeah.
wild.
And then the other thing I remember was when he was describing that. I don't know if it's in episode 1 or one of the other ones, but when he's talking about people who don't fit like his sort of like criteria for being, contributing members of society, it focuses on a homeless dude.
Yeah.
And it's just there is like this weird sort of thing about he is definitely classist. He is definitely some form of just there's only one true race. That sort of thing.
Yeah, no, honestly, and I noticed that as well. And when he's going on about that, and it pauses for a moment on it's panning over a bunch of different people, but it does for a moment focus on a homeless person. It's so subtle, but it's such a good thing to put in front of the viewer because he's the main character. You're automatically gonna not gravitate towards him. Yeah, and so it's just such a great show for keeping you thinking on your own morality and morality in general, and what would you do kind of scenario. And my answer is always not kill homeless people. Let's start there.
Yeah.
God.
But I've been thinking a lot about revolutions and shit after watching too much fucking Gundam and Code Geass, and just be for a cultural upheaval and for a cultural goal that will benefit most people, you gotta break a few eggs, and sometimes people fucking die. That's what happens.
No.
But this isn't that. This is actually
Systematic
just the dude just being
removal of anybody that he sees on the news and is that's not a good person, and you're sir. He's wild. The thing that blows my mind, and I love Light as a character. I love watching his progression. I love watching his slip into insanity. But by the first episode, it's little things that he's already saying, oh man, what about this guy that's bullying this kid for lunch money? I could just kill him. And then he's he's not, a contributing member to society. Nobody would miss him. And then he's no, I should definitely avoid killing people that I know. And I'm are you all, he's already, by the first episode, he's already calculating and building this net around himself. It just blows my mind. Because when you watch at the very end and comparing it to the very beginning, for the first couple of times I rewatched it, I was oh my god, look how innocent Light Yagami was at the beginning. This Death Note destroyed him. It was my first take on the show when I watched it the first time. And that's just by the time you're at the end of the show, you're just kind of wrapped up in the marvelous journey of it all, and you're wow, he's come so far and he's fallen so hard. But I mean, reapproaching the show with the fact in mind that Light Yagami very well may be just a sociopath, going into the show again with that perspective and saying just listen to the things he says in the first episode. He's already not in a good mindset, and then he gets the power to kill people. It just blows my mind that from episode 1 it's just red flag, red flag, red flag.
Exactly. It's just I remember every time when I thought back to this anime, I was always man, Light Yagami was pretty smart. He was always fairly systematic, and he had a fairly what was it? At least an altruistic goal. And now watching this, after reading several books, it's just being oh my god.
Yeah, and you think maybe, and that's it's such a it bothers me a lot when they're and I understand the bored genius vibe that they want to go with, and I get that he is kind of a Sherlockian type of person, when he's just bored out of his mind, nothing challenges him, and so it's what do you do with all that genius? But on the same level, when something and someone like that wants to stand and make his entire persona and his entire life mission justice, then I'm no, you're just bored and you have a notebook and you're horridly smart, but that doesn't make you a good person. That's the biggest problem I have with Light Yagami, is that he pretends that he's a good person, and I don't care how many rapists he kills. I'm my boy, you can't go around just killing people on the news.
And then on top of that, it's like, this boy is like so smart, but he's never read like a fucking book on like eugenics at all. And it's just like, again, you could have just said, I'm describing eugenics. It turns out I really agree with Nikola Tesla.
Yeah,
And
and you have to think about it, and you're probably like, look, even if he did read a book on that, he's so far in his
yeah.
own head constantly. He's just a huge superiority complex. He's like, oh, I have the power to kill people. I'm the first one to ever think of this, and actually, I'm a god. And you're like, whoa, you're not the first, and it's also a terrible, bad thing to pursue. But go off, I guess.
Yeah. So, speaking of being a god, let's move on to episode 2 because it opens with like why Light kind of feels this way. So it immediately picks up like where it leaves off. It's like Ryuk and Light in their room, and Ryuk is like, oh man, this bitch got so much drama, I can't wait. And then after that, he goes to class, and you see like everybody's like, "Oh, Light, you're so smart! Oh my God, Light, you're so awesome!" Blah 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 blah. And it's like, oh, that would make that would make sense, that he would feel this way. But then after that, Light is like, well, I gotta get to work. I gotta keep killing people, blah, blah, blah. And, like, when he was saying, like, I'm gonna go home and everything else, I remember Ryuk just being like, what are you gonna do, spend all day in your room? And I'm just like, yeah, that's called self-care, Ryuk. Read a fucking book.
You're so right, though. Ryuk's just like, I've had too much of that kind of self-care. I'm just gonna go ruin some lives. And watch it burn.
And then meanwhile, like, Interpol, like, everybody in, like, the fucking world is just like, listen, like, 100+ people have died of heart attacks all at the same time. This is really fucking weird.
Yeah, it cracks me up, really, that they found it. I mean, I guess 100 is a bit extensive, and especially if they're only criminals. But, like, I love the conversation that they have. Like, they're just like, so what? If people are dying of heart attacks, then maybe they're just dying, and they're bad people anyways. And I'm like, dang, it really makes, like, rewatching the people that initially, like, initiate the chase for Light. Like, if he had gotten farther along and actually gotten away with what he did and actually achieved his dream of becoming the god of the new world, these people would have been there right beside him making every excuse in the world. Like, they'd be like Trump followers, just like, oh yeah, no, but I mean, he read the Bible once, so like, he's not that bad of a guy. And you're like,
exactly.
He killed some criminals, he's not a bad guy. And I'm like, sirs.
Oh my God. And then of course, who shows up but fucking L be like, buddies.
Back again.
I'm here to go ahead and help you
ring,
with this
it's
problem.
me, the greatest detective on Skype. And they're like, can you maybe meet us in person? He's just like, no, you're all stupid, from the other side of the mic.
And then, like, L eventually figures out, like, okay, I want to work with, like, the police specifically in Japan. And when I was watching this, I was like, how the fuck does L know? Like, how the fuck does he know? And, oh my God, this entire time I'm also just thinking to myself, like, you fucking dumbass. You could have stopped all of this suspicion if you just, like, slightly deviated, like, how you killed people. It was just like, heart attack, jumps off, like, a railing, hangs himself.
Right.
Like, shit like that. And I'm sitting here, like, also, maybe I should be thinking about this. Maybe this makes me a serial killer.
No, but, that's the place that the show puts you in. You're always just like, no, Light, you could have done this. No, Light. And then you stop and you're like, why am I doing this? Catch him already. But no, like, I absolutely agree. Like, when it comes down to him, and I think one of the main points that they make, I'm not sure if it's in episode 2 or 3. I think it's towards the end of episode 3, because he's testing out the notebook, like, trying to kill prisoners, but making them do things before they die. So I don't think I don't think L or Light realizes early on when he's using it that he can kill someone. And if he does, he just doesn't think to use it. And you're like, if he had, it would have, literally no one would have caught on. They've just been like, oh, a bunch of prisoners are either committing suicide or dying in really weird ways. Like,
yeah, but that was just it. Is that, like, in episode 1, he already killed that attempted rapist by being like, accident, and then a fucking bus comes out of nowhere. So, like, I feel like, Light had this information to begin with, and he's just sitting there like, nah, I'm just gonna kill everybody with fucking, like
I'm
a
very
heart
fond
attack.
of heart
Which then,
attacks. He just keeps going.
which really leads me to believe like like either the author is way smarter than I'm thinking about, and like also they really want like to get caught, and that like this is just how serial killers act. They just have like a fucking like MO, and they just keep doing this fucking shit. But moving on from that, the other thing I was just thinking about was, God, I'm looking at my notes right. Oh, so Light making the fucking booby trap.
Bruh, he goes so.
He goes so into it, and I was just like, you can open up an Etsy store. You can go ahead and get like a job with Wormwood. You don't need to do this serial killer bullshit no more. You just
Bro, I was dying laughing when he's like, oh yeah, a false bottom. That's really cool, Light. And he's like, yeah, but that's not all. And then he like goes into the next explanation of how to light into flames, and I'm like, my dude, can you calm down? But he's just like already. So, and we're the second episode, he's already like, I have to protect this at all costs. I can't let anybody like find it. If they find it, it's over for me. And also, did you notice when he's like making the contraption for his desk, and he's like getting the little, whatever lighter fluid he's using, he literally starts talking either to Ryuk or just to himself, and he's like, I have to consider that, if it comes to it, I might have to kill my own family. And I'm like just the whole first 5 episodes is just that blinking meme. Like, I'm just like, this early? He was thinking about this stuff. Like, he just gets to work. And I'm like, I get it, because he's bored and determined and smart, but he just immediately is like,
he's actually
one little crisis. One little crisis of like, oh, this is wrong. Oh, society rules, and I should think. And then immediately, just nope. I'm the new god of the world, and I'm gonna maybe kill my family if it comes to it. And I'm like, okay.
And so, like after that, you start seeing like more and more people are like getting along and being like, oh man, this Kira guy, he's like killing a bunch of people, blah blah blah, and Light is just like, haha, I'm Twitter famous. This is awesome. But after that, L is just like, bro, I got you, boo. I know how to call this bitch
It is
out.
the best part of the earliest part of the thing part. Is when L just ends up like playing him like a fiddle.
So the way he does this is like he goes ahead and has like some dude named Linda L. Taylor, which also looks like the anime boy.
Bro, he literally looks like if like the L that we were all expecting for Light, because Light is just such a beautiful boy and he's just very pretty, and so we're like, oh, these are going to be like a sexy detective coming after him. No, like immediately.
No. So then after that, like he's just like he's calling out Light, being like, yo, Light, you ain't shit. And Light's like, I'm shit. I'm totally the shit. I'm gonna go ahead and kill you. And he kills Lindell Taylor. And then it turns out, like, L comes on the screen. He's like, lol, bitch.
So
you played in my prank.
And I love that they put so much emphasis on the fact that L knows that Light is just now figuring out how he can kill people, and also that he's a spoiled brat, and he just knows this. Like, he knows it, and he's like, I know exactly the kind of profile that I'm looking for, and when I track that kid down, I swear to God, and it's just so good.
It's so good, because after that, like, Light's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. How dare he call me
the god of the new world!
How dare he put me on
And Elle's
blast?
just like, wow, thanks for jumping right through that big ol' hoop for me. Good job, buddy. I'm gonna find you. You're in Japan, and I'm coming for you.
Ryuk over here just
laughing.
eating like apples, like the popcorn, just like, oh my god, this
He's
is
just like,
great.
He really got you, and Light's like, shut up. So great.
And then, as like L's explaining this is when I immediately rolled back, like, how the fuck did L knew? He's like, yeah, I knew because you started killing people all around Japan, you fucking moron. And I'm just like, oh, you're right.
It really just is so inconvenient. Like, I know he's testing it out, and he's a Babu serial killer, so he's like
Babu serial killer.
but like first he goes for like the most well-known huge criminals in the world, so he's like, hey everybody, and then he goes back to killing people locally, and I'm like, this kid is just like, chase me, find me, tell me I'm special.
Oh, oh my god. So, yeah, then at the end, they just conclude with, like,
Yeah.
I am justice. Like, you know, intercut, like, L and light. And I'm just like,
They did a pretty good job with, like, I was thinking about it because I love their voice actors. Like, I love who they chose. I don't think there's a poorly chosen voice actor in this whole anime.
Right.
But, like, the way they literally timed it really well. They're just like, bah, 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 and they're like talking and phrasing at the same time. I get worked up every time I see that scene. I'm just like, let's go, let's go. Time to rewatch Death Note for the 20th time.
Let's go. Yeah, like, so, everybody here, we're watching the dub because it's so much easier to take notes and watch.
And it's a good dub. It's a great dub.
It's a really good dub. Really, really good dub.
Like, with a lot of shows like this, you know, especially when they're really classic and just really, really, you know, well renowned. I think a lot of people end up watching it originally in the subs. And they, you know, obviously grow really fond of that year. But, like, so many times that I've taken a chance and watched the dub for a show, especially, it feels like from that era of television, like from that era of anime, like, they just really nailed it. Like, maybe there were some, I'm sure there's some bad ones out there, but, yeah, no, I looked up, now I can recognize Light Yagumi's voice, like, anywhere, because it's just insufferable and terrible. But, he actually voices... what's the X-Men that disappears and he's blue?
Beast?
Close. Nightcrawler. Yeah, in the animated X-Men, he's that guy, but with like a German accent. I was watching it with my roommate Nikki, and I was like, "Oh my god, the phone!" Hold on. And I paused it, and she goes, "Don't do this." And I was like, "Is that Light Yagami?" And she was like, "I hate you. If you're right, I'm never watching this again." And it was.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a look. Let's see. Braid Swale.
Yeah, okay. Braid. What a name, right?
Braid Swale. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god, he also voices a bunch of Bible.
Oh, like, of course. He has such a, like, insufferable little...
He voiced Land Hikari from Mega Man Network. Oh my god. Oh, of course he was in Gundam Seed. Why would he be Gundam Seed? Oh, this is... Oh no. Okay, He voiced Amuro Ray in Mobile Suit Gundam? Get out of town! Get out of town!
This is my favorite part about dubs, that, like, you get to realize that, like, oh my god, he's this? Oh my god, she's this? Oh my god, they voiced this? You just keep going on this huge train of, like, no way!
No, he's just the English voice actor for Amuro Ray. This is ridiculous. I hate this.
Thanks, I hate it.
Oh no. Oh god. Okay. Oh.
Oh man. Oh, you want to know the only thing that I recognize L's voice actor from?
What?
Barbie, Princess and the Pauper. He was one of the princes. Look it up. Look it up. Maybe. Let me look it up just to make sure. But I remember reading that and being like, I hate that I know exactly what song he sings in this Barbie movie.
All right, it's Alessandro Giuliani. Okay, all right. What's your voice here, buddy? Oh no, what's your voice here, Alessandro? All right. Oh my god, he was hot too. I hate this. Oh my god, he did the Littlest Pet Shop and
like,
Pets too.
He's in so. Oh, he is handsome. What the hell? Look at you.
Right. Let's see.
Gotta find it.
Wolverine. Oh, also Wait, is Superbook a fucking
Bro, he's in a lot of Barbie movies. Barbie Mariposa, Island Princess, Fairytopia, Mermaidia.
No, he's in Ratchet and Clank. Oh, bitch. Oh,
I'm
bitch.
doing
Okay.
X-Men
This.
Evolution.
Let's see.
Cajun Spice.
Yeah.
Impact. This is great. This is my favorite part about watching the dubs. Is that
He was in Dead Rising 2.
oh, he's in
No.
Ranma?
This is a lot. This is a lot.
This is a
Okay.
lot to take in. Let's get back to the episode.
Let's get back. So I think we covered episode 2 there. So episode 3. Alright. So police authorities start to discuss, like, the case with the L there. And also, I remember I watched this after a few days. The
It's
opening's
so
a bop.
good.
It's a bop.
Oh,
It's so
and
good.
fun fact, when it gets to the second half of the episodes, it's actually like I love the intro to the second
yeah.
part. And I remember you were the one that was like, "Oh yeah, that's a band called Maximum the Hormone. Here's like 20 songs by them," and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, oh my god,
Oh no, Maximum the
they're
Hormone
so
is so
good.
fucking
And like
good.
every time I rewatch it now, I'm just
Oh,
like, yes! Like it just makes me so happy that like that's how I was introduced to them was through this freaking show.
it was so good. The police there are like, going ahead and reviewing the case, and they're like, we're gonna take a public survey, and I'm like, oh, that's a recipe for
Good
disaster
idea.
there. And they're just like, we got like, 5,000 reports saying like I am Zeus Poop Lord, and then we also had about like 200 results saying like I know fucking Kira, and then we had like 2 results that said I am Kira, and yeah, it turns out they're not fucking Kira. Why did we do a public survey? Why do we do this?
Just begging for spam. Like, oh sure, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So, oh my god. After that, like, Ella's like, listen, we're dealing with a fucking child. Everybody knows it's a fucking child. It's like, he literally reacted to this, like, the moment, like, I was just like, I'm gonna call you out on Twitter, and I just posted that big Twitter blog post, and he was just like, I'm gonna try to kill you, and I'm like, lol, that ain't me. And, everybody's like, oh, wow, Elle, you're so smart, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, Elle is like, no, bitch, I'm just... God, alright, whatever. I guess this is how I got this job. And, like, Light is just leaving, like, even more and more of a paper trail, basically.
And you're like, please, get your act together. And then he does, and you're like, wait, no, stop.
No, stop. And then, like, one of the other detectives, Masuda, is like, listen, since he started this serial killing spree...
Crime has gone down.
Like...
Matsuda is such a good character. He's stupid, but he's so good.
Like, I like how he's saying, like, I don't condone this, but also there are benefits to him existing, and it's just like, he's such a centrist. I hate him.
I like Matsuda though. Like, and he starts out that way, and I feel like it's really important for. And I'm thinking with the whole rest of the show in mind, but like. My advice, if you're watching it and you don't remember Matsuda a lot, is to just like have faith in him because he honestly, such a good boy.
Like afterward, because then he goes to Dad, and like Dad's just like
he's literally the son that Sorichiro deserved, and it kills me.
Oh God, he's like, listen, like you don't need to feel bad about that. It's like it takes courage to say like the shit that's actually true. Like. Since this has been happening, crime has gone down. But despite that, we still need to stop him because we don't know who he's... Like, he tried to kill Elle because Elle called him out on Twitter. There's no way we can really trust him.
It's true.
And... Exactly. So it's like, I like Dad, in that, like, Dad's also just like, listen, there's truth to this, but also we still need to stop him because he's kind of fucking evil. And then, dun plot twist, he's Dad of like...
Bruh, I know when my mom was sitting there and we were watching this, and I was like, oh, look who's home. And she like looks up and she's watching and she goes, are you kidding me? That's his dad? And I was like, So I got to experience that like cliche beginning of like, classic twist that I've seen 12 times, but I'm still stoked for someone new to see it. It's just great.
Oh my God. So And then I love like the dinner and shit, and like Ryuk is just overlooking it, just like, what the
Yeah.
fuck's gonna happen?
He's
What's
just like,
gonna
wow.
happen?
Dad, he's a
Oh my
police
god.
officer.
And then on top of that, like Light somehow knows how to hack because of
Of
course the
course.
plot demands it. He knows
He
how to hack.
probably, his dad's
And he's
password
just
is
like,
probably, I love my son. And he's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like gets into his computer.
I hate this because it's totally true. Like, fucking dad's over there just like, I love my son Light. He's
The light
such a
of
hard
my
worker and
life.
he believes
The goodest
in me.
boy. The
The,
smartest boy.
the goodest boy. Oh,
It
Dad.
hurts.
Oh, Dad. I hope how he dies is that like he doesn't realize how much of a shit his son is. Don't tell me. Don't say anything. But I just hope like that's
Oh,
how
I'm
it
in
is that
physical
like
pain.
he dies in ignorant bliss of just like my son is still trying his best. Don't say shit. Anyway, so after that, like, Light starts getting a little bit more methodical. He's going to go ahead and, like, start uh, killing people, like, differently after he found out, like, in his dad's records, like, oh, they're starting to suspect a
Yeah.
high school child because,
And
like,
then he immediately like changes his pattern to every kill on the hour, and
on
L's
the
just
hour.
like, yeah. So he knows what we're thinking because he immediately changed, and they're like, what if he's and then he's like, no, I can tell you right now, he's a high school student, and he knows how to get into the police station. Who is snitching on us? And they're all just like, oh, like,
Yeah, like, that's just it. And I get, like, the human psychology of, like, the moment L's like, someone in here is
yeah,
either leaking or
yeah,
getting hacked. And it's like, everybody's like, no, it's not me, it's not me. And granted, everybody's right. It's not you. You're probably getting hacked. So at that point, you also have to be like, oh, fuck. That's also where the most believable thing, everybody starts fucking quitting in droves because
yeah.
they're just like, listen, buddy, if he can hack into our fucking systems, he knows our face. I don't want to die
And like
today.
that, honestly, I was talking about this with my mom when we were watching it, and she was like, they're just gonna quit? Isn't that like what you do when you join the police force? Like you sign up and you could lose your life. Like that just comes with the job. And I was like, I feel like that's a mentality that like we as Americans have around police officers, because like guns are just everywhere. But in Japan, it's more like, like this is like, I mean, I could die, but it's not like every day I go into work being like, I'm ready to face off with a violent killer, or like, and especially for these people, they don't even get to face him. They're just like, if he doesn't like us and we get in his way, we're done. We're just dead. Like, so I understood when they left, but
Oh, did you tell her like how like when we went to Japan, like we saw like no guns and even like the cops didn't carry guns?
No, I didn't tell her that because we differ on those kinds of opinions. But she was like, "Oh, that's a really good point." I'm like, "Yeah," but yeah,
yeah, but yeah. So like I also understand where they're coming from because it's like even if you're coming face to face with like a gun toting like criminal. You're at the end of the day, like, I can still shoot him. Except this fucking killer could just kill you whenever the fuck
like you just
he wants.
would live in I would live in constant fear if my face and name were out there, and that's apparently all anybody knew or needed to like kill me. Especially if you're in the business of enforcing the law, which he's in the business of rewriting. You're just like, well, I'm out. Y'all have fun.
I'm out.
Following a computer's commands. Listen to the computer.
And yeah, Elle's just there like, oh my god, okay, yeah, we're getting hacked. All right, we're gonna have to figure this way out. And then afterwards, Ryuk is just like, hey, by the way, we're basically roommates now. And there's this weird dude just
I love how and he
prefaces
that entire thing. Like he goes on for like 5 minutes. Yeah, just sitting there. He's like, I don't want you to think that I'm on your side or anything. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just in here for the fun. And then he's like, what are you talking about? And Ryuk's just like, there's someone following us and I'm really freaked out. And I was like, you're a Shinigami and this really sketchy FBI agent is just like, I'm scared. Like,
oh my god. And then after that, he's like, hey, by the way, I can go ahead and give you Shinigami eyes so now you can see everybody's name without every... And then, like, never
and it cuts to commercial, and
thing is,
like...
Yeah, it's like, oh, the thing is, you have to give up half of your life,
Donna,
and that's where the episode
Donna! And
ends.
then he comes back and he's like, so what do you say, Light? Do you want? And Light's just like, you dumb bitch. Like, you really think Light Yagami, would give up an ounce of my time on this planet for your eyes? No. Like, I'll figure it out. Like,
He's like, I would go ahead and do it if you
yeah.
gave me wings. And I'm just like, shut up about the fucking wings, you stupid cunt. And anyway, that's where we get to episode 4. So, like, the one thing I gotta say, though, is that if I had a roommate, I would definitely want
Oh,
Ryuk as a
he's
roommate.
perfect. He just shows up. He's like, I want an apple. If I don't get an apple, I get cranky. And then after that, he's just like, let's play Mario Kart. Like,
He's like, let's play Mario Kart. And he pays
yeah.
rent. Like, I think he's like the dude who obviously pays rent. It's just that, like, I'm just here to chill,
He really
dude.
is. He's just here to have a good time.
Like, I love Ryuk so much, and it is. I like that Ryuk is way more like, you know, the fucking vehicle for the audience than Light is, because Ryuk is literally just there like, I don't give a shit, I just want to know
Honestly,
what happens.
he's truly like, he's just a true neutral of this whole thing. He only does what Light tells him to do if it's like, huh, like, I'll do this, but like, not because I'm on your side. I'm just genuinely curious to see how this is gonna go. But if L gave me an apple, I'd turn on you in a second.
It's like L just like holds out an apple, it just immediately starts levitating, and Ryuk is like, he's best boy
Light's
now.
like, wait.
And then L's like, I can give you all the apples you want. So that bitch right there.
I'll tell you
That
everything
bitch
right
there.
now. Get me a pen and paper.
Oh my god. So, this episode kind of opens up with, the other Shinigamis just being like, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, Ryuk has been around here, no too. And his mom gave him 2 death notes. How can I get my mom to give me 2 death notes?
I love the thing they say about him, and he's like, I heard that some human is keeping Ryuk as a pet, and they're like, why would they want him? Aren't pets supposed to be cute? And I'm like, I love how funny and charming the Shinigamis are. As terrifying as they look, they're just kind of like all sitting around playing cards, so just good. Like, yuck, yuck, yuck.
And then, like, Ryuk kind of goes into, like, you know, how, like, the Shinigami world is just slowly dying, and he's just like, listen, nobody fucking cares anymore. It's like, that's... And I'm like, this is the one thing that I am, like, this is the only kudos I will ever give Light. He inspires Ryuk to be like, you know what? Maybe when I
when he says I have to be a positive thinker, and Ryuk's like, huh, maybe.
Maybe.
All right.
Okay. You know what? I'll give that a shot. You know, once we're done here, which is basically a drop in the bucket for me, it's like, this will be over like the next hour for me, relatively. Because I'm assuming Shinigamis live for a long ass fucking time. It's just like, alright. Like,
yeah.
This should
another thought I was having, actually, I thought it was pretty clever, that the Shinigami realm, like, used to be really cool, you know, used to be up and running, and everyone would just like kill everyone all the time. And if you think about it, it's a really kind of neat interpretation for like the fact that humans have taken over the planet and modern medicine lets us live like twice as long as we're supposed to, and it kind of reflects in the sense that, like, you know, Shinigamis, they explain that like in this spiritual kind of mystical way of being like, yeah, the death gods are just bored. Like, modern medicine works, but like also it's because they're up there just being like, I guess I'll, you know, play some cards and write a name down maybe. But I thought it was neat that they like took that kind of approach on it.
Oh my god, that's actually a really cool... I did not think of it that way. That's a really fucking great way
because like, if you like Ryuk being bored out of his mind, because like, I mean, they can kill people, but on top of it, like, I don't think it's the fact that like humans and their, you know, technology have prevented the Shinigamis from doing it. I think their technology is likely flourished because the Shinigami have just gotten bored. I like it. I like them kind of pinning that on the Shinigami and being like, you're the reason everyone lives so long. You're the reason we have people like Light Yagami.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh my god. So, alright. So anyway, L is basically just like, you know, he notices like a lot of the experiments that Light's doing, and L is just like, listen, like, we've already established that he could just kill people by
Yeah.
knowing their name. It's like, it makes sense that he's able to do weird shit like control them
Yeah.
before they die. Because, of course, like, we're already in weird territory. This is already where we're gonna go.
We might as well add this to the list. Like,
We might as well add this to the list. And then, like, Light is just like, well, I'm gonna take care of the FBI agent. And he's such
Bruh.
a Chad who has, like, 5 different girls on, like, fucking speed dial.
Oh yeah, I just called this girl up because I wanted to go on a date. Fun fact, think her name is Teru. Yeah, she comes back. So keep this in mind. Keep this date in mind. She will come back later on the show. I thought that was interesting that she did. But yeah, the fact that Light's just kind of like, who wants to take me out on a date? And they're all just like, yeah, freaking out. Like it's some pop idol. And I'm like, jeez.
Oh my god. So then after that, like, he's going on his date, and like Ryuk is like, so what are you planning to do? Because that dude is still fucking following
me out,
us. Man. And Light's like, did you see what I wrote in the Death Note? He's like, nah, I wasn't paying attention. And he's like, and he was like, well, I wrote it all down. He's like, what happened?
Light's just like, and why don't you?
Light's like,
yeah, he's literally, he's just like, oh, why didn't you wait and find out? I'm like, God, Light really just gets off on people being like, wow, what are you gonna do next, Light? And he's just like, well, you'll see, probably kill someone. Like,
I'll never tell.
Ryuk's like, all right, then keep your secrets.
As we start getting with like the girl, she acts so fucking weird. She's like, I got you all to myself, like Sama. I'm gonna go ahead. She's like sounding like a fucking stalker, which is like another flag in like the fucking bucket of just like, she's gonna come back and she's gonna be even weirder, I bet.
I don't think it's possible for any character in the show to be weirder than Misa. Like, we won't go there just yet, but I just would like to be like, if you think it's bad now, like Misa Amane is about to ruin everyone's lives.
Oh no. So anyway, for the FBI dude, like he's just like, I'm like 2 days from retirement. I gotta have a life here, and like, Light is just a regular high school dude. And I'm just like, tick, 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 tick. All right, when's this dude gonna die? Tick, 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 tick.
Watching that clock.
Oh my god. So then after that, like they're on the bus, and like Light's like, everything's going according to plan, and like the girl's just like, you're a nerd, and I'm just like, God,
please
shut
die.
up. Like, oh my god. Also, the soundtrack is basically like Nier soundtrack, so awesome. But anyway, bus gets hijacked by drunk dude.
Yeah,
he's got like a New York accent. He's just like,
sounds like
hey, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and take. God.
Yeah, the guy is. I love that. Like, I love that Light inevitably knows that Ryuk is gonna like follow him wherever he goes, and so like when he writes down, sees a horrible hallucination, like he literally made that happen. Like, I just love that Light also played a role in making what he already wrote down happen. Like, he hands him the page from the Death Note, the guy, also the way that he gets Ray Pimber to like show him his ID is really smart. Like, I thought that was really smart.
Oh yeah, he's like, listen, I've seen this on fucking
I watch Cops
all the time. It's like, I watch Cops. It's like, I bet you're one of like the fucking criminals too. No, I'm not a fucking criminal. Here's my FBI ID.
Light's like, wow, and, cool name you've got there.
So after that, like, Light does his whole according to Kitaku fucking thing, and basically drops like the Death Note like page, and then like the drug dealer feels like, oh god, what the fuck is that? And Ryuk's like,
he's like, oh, you checking me out? Hey, I'm gonna walk towards you, be extra creepy.
No, what I love about Ryuk is like, oh, I get it. Oh fuck. Light, you coming up with the best shit, man. Alright.
I see you.
I see you. And then after that, like, the fucking bus stops, and the drug dude's like, I gotta get out of here! And just, like, fucking runs to the street and gets run over by a car. And then, like, the entire time, Bray's like, listen, like,
nobody can know I was here. And Light's like, they won't. I promise. You
won't,
can
you'll
trust
die.
me.
Oh my
If
god.
he had just left it
So,
at that, honestly, I don't wish, but like if Light had just known that like Ray Pember's literally wrapping up his investigation, he would
yeah,
have gotten away. Like literally
he
killing Ray
would've, yeah.
Pember like signed
Mm,
his inevitable like coming into contact with Elle. Like it's his inevitable downfall. Is killing Ray Pember is my opinion. Like yeah, he drew attention to himself in Japan and like yeah, like Elle's on his trail in Japan, but like Japan still has a lot of people in it and I if they hadn't been able to narrow down like who was investigating who and like why all the
yeah.
FBI agents died, he got away with it. Like I strongly feel he would have gotten away with it.
Oh, he definitely would have. So we're gonna take a
Okay.
quick break here, because I need to go
Okay.
pee, and then after that we'll go ahead and conclude this with episode 5.
Okay, I'm gonna get some water too. I'll be right back.
Alright, so we're back for episode 5, tactics. So basically, Light's like, well, I can't kill Ray immediately. And he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and draw suspicion to myself. And I'm over here like, Light, you already have like the entire world on your back because you're so fucking dumb.
He's just like, I just love killing. I
and
just gotta keep killing. You're like, please don't.
just gotta keep, please don't. And then Ray's like, don't tell nobody. And he's like, I won't. And he goes to his fiance, who has the most sexiest turtle.
Naomi Misora
Honestly,
is so sexy. Like they
oh
had
my
to off.
god.
They just couldn't let her be in the show for so long because she's just unstoppable. Like she's and her voice so calm and collected and
It's so
seems
good.
submissive, but
Oh
she's
my
just
god.
like, nah, like I know some stuff and I'm gonna get to the bottom of this once my sexist husband is out of the way.
So, she's basically like, hey, all this shit's been happening. And she starts reciting off basically
Yeah.
what we know about being like, listen, don't you find it
Seems like a
weird that,
coincidence.
you're on that. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a fucking coincidence. And Ray's like, you're a
He's like,
wife now? Excuse
I
you?
feel
Shut up.
threatened by your very logical rationale. Please stop and go make me a glass
And
of
then
water.
he's like, make me a glass of water, and also, once you have kids, you'll never think about your career ever
Literally,
again.
like,
And
I'm glad.
I was just like, I had this complete 180 of Ray, or I was just like,
Yeah.
go to hell. What is
Honestly,
wrong
like
with
he doesn't
you?
seem like that bad of a guy at first. You're like, oh, he's got like pretty eyes. He seems like a nice guy. He's just doing his job. He's a hard worker. He's about to retire with his fiance, and then he's like, no talkie about what you're already really good at. Make me some tea. Like,
I was so mad. I was so fucking mad, and I was just like, damn it! Like I wanted to like you, but here you are. I hope
yeah,
Light does
honestly,
kill you.
I'm just always like, yep. You know what, Light? I see you. I'm
Yep.
proud of you. And from here on out, we're even. You know, like.
It's like we listen. After this, I'll give you a pass on this guy in particular, but also the next guy because he he corners Ray Pember, and Ray Pember is like, oh my god, I'm getting confronted by Kira, and he's like, yeah, it's me.
Sure is.
It
Get
sure is. And he kills the dude. Kills the dude in front of Ray Pember, and he's like, "What the fuck happened?" He's like, "Oh, don't you worry, that was a rapist." Which I'm like,
Yeah,
same,
no, like
right?
that part. My mom. It was so funny because my mom looks at me and she just goes, "Ah," because he just see that guy over there, and he's just like, "Ugh," and he dies, and she's just like, "Ah." So he's just killing people to kill people, and then he's like, "That guy was a registered sex offender, and he's escaped conviction multiple times." She goes, "Ah, "Of course he is." She like goes back to it.
I know. I was just like, oh, you know what? This is the one time I'm like, you did a good Light. Okay.
We'll
fine.
let this one
All right.
slide, like.
we'll let this one slide. So then after that, the Yamanote line, which I put a note here because I'm like, I've been to Japan. I remember hearing the Yamanote line like 18
Yeah.
fucking times at the same time. And I'm just like, here's the thing I love about like that fucking thing is that they really do capture. This is the Yamanote line, bound for Shinjuku. Please get off at the. And I'm just like, oh damn it! I'm transported back to my happy place.
I want to go back.
I want to go back. Put me back, please. So then after that, he tricks Ray Pember into like writing down all the FBI agents who are there, and he's just like, "You got to go ahead and get an email from like your supervisor." He's like, "Oh my god, how did you know this? It's almost like we knew this the entire time."
Ray Pember's so stupid. He's like, and I love it the whole time. He's like, "Where do I recognize that voice?" And I'm like, "How could you forget a voice like that?"
I feel like in a traumatic experience like that, you really gotta be like, is that you?
Like you would just wheel around and be like, "Light Yagami?" Like,
well, then it's like on top of that, like he can't kill everybody in like the fucking underground mall, so it's like
I just scream it really loud. Like, he really risked a lot, like just trusting that he wouldn't remember his voice, because I don't.
Well, I guess it's also because of the Death Note, since he did specify that like the Death Note basically like registers to a person's personality. Like they won't do something that's like outside of their personality. Yeah, like that was the thing he found out about the Death Note in like episode 4 is that like like some criminals couldn't do the shit that he wanted to do. It's like because it was literally impossible for them to do, or it didn't like coalesce with their established personality.
When he's like, "Run to France and die," and the guy just like gets as far as he can. That makes me laugh.
No, he just has a heart attack.
Well, he tried. He ran. He's like, he ran all the way to here, and then he died. It's just, that part's so funny to me. I know it's cruel, but I'm just like imagining some guy being like, "I gotta get to Paris," and he just like runs until he dies. He's like, "Crap, I can't jump this fence." He just like passes out.
Or like the one dude who is like draw a complete like profile of L, and he's like, I don't know who the fuck L is.
Yeah,
I guess I'll
just
die.
like, well, here's a pentagram, and you're like, stop.
No. He had a pentagram, dude. Like he specified, like one dude does a pentagram, one dude tries to draw L, and I can imagine like the dude just having like question marks above his head, like who's L?
I really want to draw L, and they're like, "What are you talking about, Jerry?" And he's just like, I and just dies. Like that's like the funniest thing to me. Like if I had a death note, I would just go after people that deserve to die, and I mean like clearly deserve to die, but you would just be like, do something impossible and just listen to the news reports of being like
somebody just being like I'm gonna do another Game Grumps reference, like tabled. What's tabled? Tabled.
Like
tabled.
It's such a funny thought to me. Like just do something that you can't conceivably do, and they're just like, "Oh," and then they just die. Oh man. God. Okay.
So he kills the rapist. He goes ahead and tricks Ray Pember into killing every FBI agent, which then, of course, every FBI agent, like, the fucking L, like, learns that every FBI agent was killed. And he's like, so, Kira found out about this. Yeah.
I wonder how that happened. He's just, like, looking at all the task force.
He's just looking at the task force, like in the camera of the office.
Anybody's like, password, I love my son? Anybody, like...
Anybody. Which then he also gets, like, a complete profile on every FBI agent, which this is the one, like... This is the one silly plot hole that I really want to poke a hole in, is that, like, L, why didn't you just... You've already established that you know it's a student. You know it's somebody on the task force. Why don't you differentiate who's a student in the task force, who has children? I'm guaranteeing you, most of them don't have children.
Yeah,
So
though, like, I mean, that's an excellent point because you're just like, if that's already like a big thing that he's identifying, and he's relying on him, like, I know he said he could be a student, so maybe he's assuming, like, if they have children that have gone off to college or something, but or maybe a
but even
professor,
then, a student.
I don't know. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's a valid point. Come on, Elle, get it together.
get it together, El.
And then he does.
So then then after that, like, after finding out that all the FBI agents were killed, like, the Japanese police force was like, "You were spying on us, El?" And El's like, "Yeah, dude.
What am I,
Of
stupid?
course I was
Like, come
spying on you."
on.
And so, like, a bunch of people quit and blah blah blah. And he, like, Dad is just basically like, "Listen, I'm gonna stay on this case because this dude is fucked up. There's no way I could not." And El's like, our Light is just like, I'm so proud of you, Dad. I'm so unbelievably proud of you.
You pulling all these late nighters trying to catch a horrible person. You're my hero, Dad. And he's like, oh, son, pat, pat at the table, just like, we're a perfect family.
I hate Light
He's
so
so
much.
terrible.
I hate him. There is no reason why Dad should have.
He's
a
literally
son
just
him.
like, thanks, Dad, who I've already acknowledged that I might have to kill someday so I can keep killing other people. Like, you're my hero.
And then meanwhile, Naomi getting shit done. She's just like, I'm gonna find the murderer of my fucking deadbeat fiance, which I'm sitting over here like, why did you like him?
She
What
had it
kind of
bad.
chemistry
She must
did
have
you
been
have?
like just doki doki on that guy, because like I don't understand how you also, fun fact about Naomi and how much better than Ray Penber she is at her job,
Yeah.
actually worked under L. This is like I don't know if it's a film or if it's a novel, but basically it's narrated by Mello. He goes on to talk about how L found this serial murderer in, I think it was Los Angeles. Yeah, like Los Angeles. It's called the BB murder case, because the guy's name's Beyond Birthday. Yeah. I want to say it's one of L's successors that went like rogue, but Naomi actually like reported to L on a case previously, which is why she's so freaking smart and why I'm not sure why like she wouldn't be one of the FBI agents. But I guess if you have a fiance that's talked you out of your career, you're just like, womp womp. Like, she's
it's his eyes.
It's got to be those eyes. They really are just piercingly blue. Baby blue.
Really are. Oh my god! But anyway,
yeah,
she's shit done. She's just
so like, underrated and wonderful, and just immediately is like, guess what? I figured everything out.
But anyway, so like the crime force, like condenses to like 4 people, and they're just like, yeah, like we acknowledge that like Kira could kill us at literally any point in time because we've already established this, and we're gonna go ahead and work directly with L. And L is like, I understand that like in order for me to gain your trust, I need to appear in person. So here is my address. At me.
Yeah.
And we end with like the first with like Dad and like Masuda like going up to L's hotel room, and they like get to the door, and that's where we end with episode 5. So, boy,
what a show! What a start to the show! Like I'm so excited to go over the next episodes because I'll be honest, like I kind of just didn't want to risk my mom losing interest in this show, so we just kept watching. We just kept watching till like episode 10, I think, and then we stopped. But yeah, no, it's like just thinking about this is why I'm kind of having a hard time. Like I'm like, wait, focus on the episodes that you have notes on.
Yeah.
But it just gets so much better. Like I can't. Every time I watch this show, the progression is just so great. Introduction of L is great. Oh, it's just so great. I love it.
So the one note I put at the end was like, the more I watch this as like a schlocky crime drama, it's like I honestly enjoy it a lot better. Like I honestly start to enjoy it a lot more because I'm just like, okay, like obviously this isn't made to be really taken seriously. This is like going back to like how I was introduced to this as like baby's first mature like manga. It's like this is basically babies first, crime drama, and that it's like, yeah, like, we're not thinking too hard about this. Everything's kind of laid out so that the viewer can actually make their own conclusions and be like, oh, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and
And
that's a really good point,
yeah,
because I mean, a lot of people, I mean, even myself, we go into it and we already have Light's perspective, which is just so exaggeratedly religious. Like, I mean, and not like even like
yeah,
adhering to one religion, just he himself is just like this, I am a god, and he just has all these like mystical, not mystical, but I mean, he's got like a Shinigami on his side. It puts this like
yeah,
destiny kind of vibe to the whole thing. But like, if you once you start getting L into the picture, and I love how well they write him in here, because he just starts
oh
poking
yeah,
all these holes in this big bubble that we've kind of been introduced to the whole setting in, and he's just like, actually, he like comes in, and it does turn into
actually,
such just more of a crime drama. And I think it's good knowing that it is a crime drama, and it just kind of starts to fall into that pace. And I think people who look at it like that are going to enjoy the show more, if they don't kind of, the people that are out there like, oh, was right, I'm gonna, you know he was right all along. And you're like, don't treat this like a let's jack off Light Yagami for 37 episodes. That's not how you enjoy this show. Like,
oh yeah. It's really interesting because like I said, I'm coming off of like Code Geass of after watching like 12 episodes of that, and
would you
just
all
like
just mind
being
dying?
really
Like,
bombarded.
just goes out in the top of a building.
Oh
Can you
my
just
god,
die?
I hate
Like,
that.
please, please, whipped cream on top, please.
Oh my god. And it's like, it's trying so hard to be like something more. Whereas like I feel like like my preconceptions of Death Note was that it was trying so hard to be like way smarter than it is. And now watching it, I'm like, no, it knows
Yeah.
exactly what it is. I just had these like horrible expectations that like were eventually like squashed because it's like, no, we
Yeah.
know what we are. We're a schlocky crime drama. That's what we are. And we're gonna play to those strengths. And as I watch it more, I start to enjoy it a lot more. I still love just like, giving everybody shit because I'm like, why is everybody so fucking
Yes.
stupid? And it's like,
Hindsight, it's, yeah, no, like, and especially knowing exactly where this goes. Like, I rewatch this show now, and I love it, because you could just get to pick apart this great story, and you get to be like, and if he had
oh
done
yeah.
this, he would have gotten away with it, and if he hadn't done that, he would have gotten away with it, and if he hadn't done this, he really would have been the god of the new world. Like,
Really would have been the god of the new world, and he just fucked it all up by being a fucking asshole.
and it's like, I love that we could be frustrated about that and yet cheer for that same thing. Like, you're like, God, you idiot. It's so good that he's gone. Like, it's so good that he lost. Like,
it's so good. It's like I'm so glad that's like the thing that I'm coming back in remembering of this about is that like he loses in the end. It's like, spoilers for anybody who has not like watched this. Light dies, and you should be happy that he dies.
if you're not happy that he dies by the end of it, then like, you got some problems, because oh, that boy is nothing but strings at the end. He is just messed up.
Oh man, I'm not gonna go too deep into that because that's the one detail that I do remember, and I remember feeling so strangely like just satisfied of just like, yes,
so
good. Oh,
I cannot wait to talk about this show. I just love this show so much. People, you just get me going for hours on this freaking show. I'm excited.
So, oh my god. Before we close out here, I guess aside from Death Note, what else have you been doing this week here, Bran?
Working. I've just been working, and I've just kind of been hanging around my parents' house. Not much is going on. I don't really know a lot about Knoxville, so anywhere that I go, I'm just kind of like, Mom, what do you do around here? She's like, go hiking, and I'm like, because I'm lazy and fat. So I've just kind of been getting out of the house little by little, and just kind of slowly branching out and seeing what's around. But I'm not a very like let's leave the house and explore today kind of person in general. So yeah, so this week is
Fair.
it's just
Fair.
another day of work. I've just kind of been getting off work and doodling like I usually do, watching Death Note on my days off, which has been a delight. So, a delight.
You know, I am so glad that we could go ahead and do
Me
that.
too. Yeah, when you were like, "Yo, let's do an anime podcast," and I was like, "Super," and then you were like, "Let's watch Death Note," and I was like, "Yes!" Like, did you mean one of the five staples of my like talents is just talking about Death Note? Like, not even talent. It's just something
Oh
that
my
I do
god.
because it's so good.
It's just something. It's just in my background, in my mind, just like
I'm
thinking
like that
about Death Note
Vine where
all
he's
the
like
time.
Epcot, except I'm just like Death Note. Like,
Death Note. Oh my god. So mostly in my off time right now, I've been watching a lot of older anime,
such a dangerous
because
sentence.
I've exhausted. So because I've exhausted all of my reserves of like current
Oh
mecha
god,
anime,
I have to go to
that
the
I have to go
archives.
back. I have to go back. I have to go back in time. And one podcast I would love to do. If it's with you or anybody else, I don't fucking care. I really want to do an Armor Trooper Bottoms rewatch podcast, because I was brought onto it by another thing I've been doing in my off time, which is listening to a podcast called The Great Gundam Project, where two non-binary people rewatch the entirety of Gundam from beginning to end, and they began with Mobile Suit Gundam in 1979, and they've only just now gone to like the late 80s with like 0083. Uh, and yeah, they're doing it. And they're like, they keep joking. They're like, oh, like we're gonna be at this for like, the next 10 years, because that's how much time we got in like the entirety of the Gundam like continuity.
Uh, you.
And they never watched
Oh
Gundam
my
before.
gosh!
That's
I
the
was about to
thing.
say, I was like, have they ever seen it before? And you're just like, nope.
No, no.
Fresh lambs
So,
to the
and the
slaughter.
thing is like, and the best thing is like their entire podcast gets progressively more and more like
Oh my god.
radicalized as they just watch it, and they're just like, oh yeah, like the Gundams are good, and by like fucking double Zeta, they're like, we're
Oh my
space
god.
communists
That's
now.
literally like you in a nutshell. They started
It
this
is,
podcast
and
and Joe was born, like out of their words, out of the slow radicalization of Gundam watching. A boy
oh
is
my
born.
god, and it's been such a fucking treat, because then like the the backup anime that had to like Gundam in case Gundam sucked, which it does a lot,
At least you're
is they
honest.
had which it had Armor Trooper Bottoms, and Armor Trooper Bottoms is just
Can't
so
get over
dumb,
that name.
but it knows.
What kind of a name?
Oh, it's so great. And on top of that, like the fucking main character is thick with like three
No. Oh
C's.
my god.
Oh, Kiriko Kuzi, like his ass is like the ass that could go ahead and destroy
It's just,
worlds.
oh my gosh, I keep thinking of that dummy thick meme. He's like, oh, my ass is too big. And it's just,
No, it's just like, Colonel, my ass is too. I'm too dummy thick, and every time I keep moving my armor trooper bottoms, it
stop.
keeps alerting the guards.
Die.
Oh my god! So it's such a dumb like.
Oh,
Whereas like Gundam aspires so much to be like way smarter than it is sometimes. Armor Trooper Bottoms knows that it's fucking stupid, and it plays to those strengths. And that's the reason why I keep like showing people Armor Trooper Bottoms, because I'm like, you're gonna
watch
love
this
this
dumbass
because
anime
it's so
right now.
it's so dumb. It's so dumb, but I love it
Oh,
so much. So that, and just like other countless like retro anime like Armored Hunter Metal Link, which takes place in the same universe. And then like fucking Fruits Basket, which watching the dub is so much better
I
than
have a
watching the subs.
question. Are you guys watching the new one
Yes.
that just came out? Oh, you're
No,
watching
no,
the
no,
old
no, no.
one?
We are.
No! Yes! Oh my god.
w-
I started watching the. Actually, I think
Um,
I finished the old one with my roommate Nikki and oh, Laura Bailey. Like
Laura Bailey
I
is
love
so
her to
great. I
death,
love
but
her.
like I love that every like so many interviews with her, she's just like, "Look, I can't stand my character's voice either, but this is just where I am. Like this is just what I have to do." Freaking Toru's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like I can't take it anymore. It just drives me nuts.
No, you know Laura Bailey's also on
Oh,
Critical
is
Role.
she? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like she's with Matt
I
Mercer,
love
with
Matt Mercy.
Travis Beecham.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Matt Mercer's actually DM.
That's so freaking cool. I should listen to that.
You
I should
you
watch it.
know. Here we go. We're
There you
plugging
go.
two podcasts. We're plugging a radicalized Gundam podcast, and we're plugging a fucking like well-known role-playing podcast.
God.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's what
Nice.
I've been up to too. So we'll go ahead and close this out, and then next recording we'll go ahead and like go through another 5 episodes of Death Note.
Haley.
Hopefully. We continue to enjoy it as much as we have. I'm really hoping this doesn't lose steam
No,
for
I
me.
honestly like if you lose steam and you still want to keep going, like you could just solely rely on me to have Death Note steam because I'm gonna
You got
freak
it.
out. Like I just love this freaking show and I'm really excited because you haven't seen it in a long time. So I like can't wait for all the like, oh yeah moments that like we just have throughout all these episodes. I'll be like, because it just gets insane. There's also you know what? Never mind. I'm going to save that for next time because it's not really relevant right now, but I'm excited. We'll.
I'm also excited. I'm gonna start watching like episode 6 probably
Yes.
sometime after this. So, anyway, Bran, can anybody find you on social media?
Y'all can hit me up on Instagram if you want to like see a bunch of pictures of my cat, but that's about it. Like that's like I have a Facebook, but like I won't add you because I mean unless I know you, like feel free to add me. But yeah, my Instagram is Branwitches, and I'm really proud of that username, and I like it a lot. So hit me up if you want to see my
Oh my
cat
God.
ruining my life daily.
Daily. And then as for me, you can find me at Just Joe Stars on Twitter. So and also on Instagram, it's just Joe Star. So not plural,
One
it's
star.
Joe Star. And then on Twitch, just Joe Stars, multiple, because I don't like to be consistent. Apparently, I'm gonna fix that at some point. But anyway, just Joe Star or just Joe Stars, you'll probably find me on most social media platforms. Facebook is completely hidden because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh. But anyway, yeah, so this has been us with a lot of anime. We're going to be back in another 2 weeks, and then we'll go ahead and go over episodes 6 through 10 of Death
Heck
Note.
yeah. I'll see everybody
Heck yeah.
then.
So anyway, this has been me, Joe, and you, Bran. And as always, tip your waiters 50%.
Good
Good
night.
night.
時の仲間叩く切な敵きらめきをこの世の記憶に刻むため歩き続ける